Hello, 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 everyone. I hope you can hear me. I know it for me, it's always real loud because it's in my ears, but I hope everyone can hear me. I hope everyone's doing great tonight. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. If you're just coming in, if you're here, if you're not, and you'll be here soon, or if you catch the replay, I truly, truly appreciate you all. I really do. Um, I honestly appreciate everyone that stops in or that even thinks about stopping in. I today I was in the live and well, I wasn't in the live. I didn't catch it live. I was catching the replay and I was listening. I was like, oh my God, like they actually think about, and even in the first thing in the morning, there's like, hey. it's Thursday, and they've already gotten to the point where people actually think it's Thursday. Joe actually has a live on Thursday. So I thought that was like really cool. And both of y'all are in my chat. So I think that's crazy. That's great. I appreciate it, girl. I really appreciate it. Let me go ahead and shout y'all out since I'm talking about you. Thank you so much to Sharia. Um, Wellness with the Frugal Mama. That's Life with Tasharia. Thank you so much. First thing this morning, you just shouted me out in your live this morning. Kevin Corbening, thank you so much for stopping in and saluting and giving me a like. I'm sure you did if you're not here anymore right now. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Miss Alice, you were the other one. I caught your live replay and I was like, oh, she shouted me out and you thought of me and you brought up something that I talked about last week, which was great. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, dear. I really do. Thank you so much. And you heard the bestie welcoming in everyone. Hit the like button. I truly appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much, bestie. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Your busy day and, stressful day, but you make time to come and help me out. I appreciate it. Thank you. Honestly, I appreciate you. The Real Brown Family Chronicles, that is Nestos. Thank you so much for being here, dear. I appreciate you. And bless Elder Vaughn. She's actually really young, Vaughn, but thank you so much, young Vaughn. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for moderating and just helping me out. I appreciate it, dear. Retirement days. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Reversing high blood pressure. That's Miss Wanda. Thank you so much for being here. And I truly appreciate it. And you'll understand why in a little bit. Thank you so much, Miss Wanda. I truly appreciate you all. But this week, I am like, wow, it was really just, this week was, I don't know if you guys know, but it's not, I'm very different from my bestie. And I'm going to explain what I mean. It's not as easy for me. Like if he was up here with me, it would be a lot smoother for me. But for me, this is not even after doing it so as consistent as I have been. It's still not something that just comes very easy for me. I don't know why yet. I'm working on that though, and I'm in prayer about that. But once I start, it's like I literally beforehand, I don't know if Bestie knows this, but beforehand I kind of just go into prayer and I ask, for guidance, right? But it's not something that ahead of time is very smooth for me. But while I was preparing this week and in prayer and everything, this is my 12th episode. I've actually been consistent, whether I've been able to do it on a Thursday or I've made a point to make sure and get it done that week. But it's been 12 weeks for me that I've been consistently doing my lives, and it's something that I actually set out to do. It was something that I wanted to do, right? I wanted to consistently do. And just like, all of you guys know, because all of you are very, very great representations of being consistent and doing something often. But it's just something that it should get easier with time, shouldn't it? But it's actually something though that I feel that the more that I have done, I've been amazed at how much I see the purpose in it after the fact. Like I'm saying, in advance, I don't see it. In advance, I don't know why, right? But it's something that as I go through it, I'm learning more. And this is, I'm meaning by my own, of myself. I'm learning so much more because I think I mention it every single week. This is something that I will do for myself. Um, and when that's why when I miss, it's kind of like I need to go ahead and make it up because it's something that I'm pouring into myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but without, I'm doing this like trying to pour into myself. Uh, Rudy, IRAHETA 80. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here at 8:12 Central. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Um, but if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the like button for me. I appreciate it. Um, so thank you so much for being here. So this week, as I mentioned, it's my 12th week. It's my 12th episode, and um, I actually, the reason I mentioned that I was happy that Ms. Wanda was in here is because Ms. Wanda kind of confirmed for me what I wanted to talk about this week. I saw it's basically she literally like it was a confirmation when I saw something Miss Wanda post this week, and because it's been something I've been reminding myself a lot that I needed to move. For me, I needed to move because so many times, especially when you have so much going on, and I'm talking about myself, when I have so much going on and so much is that I have reasons to just retreat, because I am a person that if I have a lot of stuff going on at the time and I just want to crawl up and cry because I'm just overwhelmed with life hitting me from different directions, it gives me a reason to think, you know what? I'm just going to put this off. I'm going to delay it. I'm not going to do just like maybe tonight. I literally got home just a few minutes ago. I had a lot of things going on, but and I could easily, and believe me, I had thoughts of going ahead and putting it off or even mentioning it, and I tried so hard not to tell my bestie, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just cancel. Or you know what? And I got those thoughts. And I'm talking, I mean, that's why, I mean, not up until the time that I even planned this, but even up to the minutes before this, I wanted to even just delay it 30 minutes, because there's just so much that comes my way and in different directions, and it's so easy to just put it off because the time is not perfect, you know and that's what that goes into my title for this live. It's don't wait for perfect, and it's just a lot of times, even when things aren't perfect, too many times I've delayed basically even chasing my dreams because the time's not right, or is the time right? I've always questioned myself, is the time right? And a lot of times I had to learn that the perfect time is now. It's like that saying, a lot of people say don't ever miss a Monday, you know, and they put in themselves not to miss a Monday. But it doesn't matter if it's Monday, because what will be easy for me is to say, oh well, come Monday I'll go ahead and start. That way you can start the week, or come Sunday if that's the start of your week, right? But why put it off until then? Why put it off until Monday when the time is now? There's a lot of, I was saying last week, and the past weeks, you be thankful on purpose, being thankful on purpose. And one of the things that I wake up being thankful for is breath in my lungs. So if I have breath in my lungs and I'm giving thanks for having breath in my lungs, why am I going to wait for a time in the future when I've got breath now and I'm being thankful for having breath now? So why not do whatever I set out my mind or my desires to do now? If that makes sense. Sometimes And life has been testing me so many times. It tests my patience, and it just seems like that timing in so many ways is not right. And I could come up with a lot of excuses, like I just mentioned, up until right before we started, I could have come up with a lot of reasons to even delay 30 minutes, like I mentioned, but I have to just, that's what I'm coming on here to share with you all, why it is so important that we just not delay and we just take the time that we have and make sure that we tell ourselves the time is now, not sometime in the future. Because, and I have to mention, I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer, but a lot of things, and we're not promised tomorrow. Okay. So we have to take the time that we have now. Okay. So it's about my episode 12. It's so much more about just that, being thankful on purpose for every opportunity that we do have. Um, One of the things that I wanted to mention is that usually the moments that we have, it really do shape us in what we do going forward. So everything that we do now, it really, what we do now is not going to make a change right away. It's you're not going to see a change overnight. And I've mentioned this before. I remember my dad always telling me, like, to encourage me, because I would get so down that I don't see a change, I don't see it happening, right? And he's like, but you didn't get to where you were overnight either. I was, it had taken what, 30 years for me to get to the in my weight loss and my weight gain, so to speak, right? I used to be 525 pounds at 30 years old. I found myself at 525 pounds. Well, it took 30 years to get there. In a set, I mean, it really did. I was 30 years old, and that's where I found myself. That was my peak. And so it didn't take overnight to get there. I didn't just one day wake up that way. So it wasn't going to take overnight to lose it either. And it didn't, right? Um, so I just want to mention that, because a lot of the times that that we're going through what I call a journey, because your life, my life, is my journey. And I want to mention, your life is a journey, and it's your journey. You don't have to compare it to anyone else, because you are unique. We are all made uniquely. We're not, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves and what we go through with anyone else. However, we come together to try to grow and to try to learn from each other, to get some encouragement, and to get some encouragement of what we've done. And that's why I try to share. But nothing that I've done is going to be cookie cutter to what you go through at all, because we're all different. Everything that I may have in my, the way my body is built, the way my, whatever, we're all going to be different. So I never want you to be, anything that I share, I never want you to think that, oh, it's going to happen like it happened for me, right? And vice versa. Like, I can't expect that the way things happen for someone else will happen for me, and I won't go through those things, right? But I'm here to encourage and to let you know that, hey, don't let anything keep you from doing and taking your chance and your and everything that you need to do for yourself. Don't let it keep you from going through that, right? So, with that, I want to sit tonight, and I want to start out our conversation by just, I want to I want to give you a thought. Has there ever been anything that has let you, like, you thought, I want to have this done, I want to accomplish this, but you got thoughts in your head that told you, you know what, I'll just do that later because you felt that it was too hard. And I'm talking about anything in life, not just weight loss, but anything in your goals or dreams or aspirations that you wanted to do, but you just felt that it was too hard, or there's too many things coming against you in getting them done. So you think that you shouldn't do them, or you should just put them off, and you just take the back road, or take the, just put it off. Is there things that you just don't choose to do because the time's not right? And I want you to think about that. But before we dive in, I want to share something because I've put together, I've shared it before, but I've put together something that I want to explain is is a little peek into my journey. I want, if you don't know anything about my channel, this gives you a little peek of what my journey has consisted of. It visualizing shows you what my journey has been. It shows you some visual, and that's why I put it together. It's kind of what drives me, what my journey has been, and it's kind of, when I put it together, it gives you some quotes, it gives you some things that why I'm here trying to be transparent and trying to share my journey with you, in hopes that you may be able to relate, understand, and grow with me, because that's where I'm at. I'm every week, every day, I'm trying to grow more and thrive in everything that I do. And I want to bring you along with me. So, with that said, I'll be right back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, hello, hello. We are back. And I hope that it explains to you just a little bit about, you can visually, there's a lot of people that may have been here for the first time. Rudy, if this is your first time here, that kind of gave you a synopsis of why I even try to share my journey with you all. Um, and so that's why I wanted to share that. But before I jump in, I want to ask you a few questions, like I started to ask earlier. I wanted to ask a few questions, and just to give you some ideas of what I'm talking about tonight. Like I mentioned earlier, have you ever caught yourself waiting for the right time to start something? That's what I was talking about earlier. Um, I know Miss Wanda, she mentioned yes for sure. And and honestly, Miss Wanda, I was watching, I saw this week where you actually shared how you started your you got a trainer, and I remember that. It was so hard, and I could relate to the feeling of actually getting a trainer, and I'm so proud of you doing that, because if you've noticed, and I was noticing, and everything they were doing for you, those things that they were doing for you, they kind of help you, because those are the things that are going to help you. Not so, I've mentioned it before, like, not to rely on the scale, because the scale is it fluctuates, and it fluctuates like with, especially with us women, that we retain so much fluid in our bodies. And you'll wake up in the morning, which is usually when our bodies are kind of releasing that fluid, and and so you'll wake up a different weight than you went to sleep with, so and especially women. So that's why I've always tried to remind people, like, don't rely on the scale, but if you actually just measure yourself, and you'll notice it in your clothes. And one of the things, Miss Wanda, a lot of I and this was me back in the day, I hated taking pictures. I hated taking full body pictures of myself. I did not like it. And a lot of times also because I was holding myself accountable on social media. So it was like really intimidating for me because I was over here trying to post it, and I'm like, I don't want to post it. But I realized eventually I don't have to post it. I'm not doing it for anyone else but for myself. And and so there's a lot of pictures now that I'll post and that you saw on my promo. um, I didn't post those pictures before, but I had them because it was something that I was holding. Because I promise, like, there's to this day, I'll put side by sides to see how much I've actually changed. And because it gets to a point where, like, have I changed? I don't see it. And it doesn't matter how much someone else sees it, it's like what I can see or what I can, you know. So measuring yourself and taking a lot of pictures is really, really crucial. Um, but I want to ask you also, what's one thing you've been putting off because you didn't feel it was the perfect time yet? That's what I want you to think about. If you care to share with me in the chat, by all means, share with me. Thank you, Ms. Nestos. Thank you. You look wonderful. I appreciate it. But how often has waiting held you back from just trying whatever goal, anything in life? How often has it held you back, even if it wasn't all figured out? You know, I mean, just think about, like, how often, and these are thoughts that got me thinking when I saw Ms. Wanda's, because it was something that I've been struggling with. Okay, it's something that I've been struggling with a lot lately because when life just seems to keep hitting me from all different directions, it's so easy for me to put things off. And I have to, when I saw Ms. Wanda, mention, everything she was going through and everything, she just decided to just, take a leap and do it. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I got to do. And so these are those questions that, I had to ask myself, like, how often have I been, I'm like, how many times am I going to let waiting for something that, oh, it's just not the right time, or it's just not in the cards for me right now, you know? And a lot of times it could be anything. My bestie was mentioning the other day, my son is also graduating this year. My son is a senior in high school, and he's about to be, he's been going, he will graduate with an associate's degree, and he's already been going to college, but he'll be continuing doing that. But whether he chooses to go away to college or stay here, I don't know. But it's just me. After that, though, it's just me, and I'm like, I've been a mother, and I've drowned my life in my kids. And I'm not going to say that I'm still not going to have my kids to drown my life in after that. But it comes a time when I have to decide, or I have to think about what's next for me, in a sense. I'm never going to stop being a mom. I know that. I don't ever want to stop being a mom. I will never stop being a mom. However, I have to be real and realize that there's still a future out there. I've always said, the best is yet to come, and it is true, it's biblical. Um, but those are things that come to my mind, you know. Um, what am I putting off? What am I putting off, or whom am I keeping away because I don't think that the timing is right, or I don't think that I'm willing to open up myself or take down my guards because the timing is not right in my mind, or for myself. And those are the things that I keep thinking about. I really, had to tell myself that I really had to think about. Sometimes faith looks like moving before you see how it'll all work out. Like, I have to be stand on my faith, even though I don't see what that future is, or what is next to come, or what's behind that next door, because and not to be fearful of it. But what is faith? Faith is not knowing what is to come, but still moving regardless of it, even if I don't know how it's going to all work out. Hey, Jimbo, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Miss Alice. I appreciate it. With that said, I do have a verse that I wanted to share. I believe it's pinned in the chat, and that verse is it's Ecclesiastes 11:4, and the King James version is, "He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap." He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Sorry. I'm going to repeat it. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. So in this verse, it's reminding me that if we keep watching and waiting for perfect conditions, because the wind and the cloud, if we keep watching and waiting for those perfect conditions, we'll never take the step that we need for growth. If we just keep looking at the way the wind is blowing, or the way the clouds are looking, if we just keep looking at that, and everything being murky, and everything being in our lives and not being perfect and sunny and lit, and because it's not that, and we're just not moving, if we keep watching and waiting for the weather or the conditions to be perfect, then we're never going to take the steps that we need to be able to grow, to be able to move forward, to be able to follow our dreams, or follow our goals, or follow the things that we desire and we've always desired. And this is in, I've always mentioned, it's in anything, not just weight loss, not just in anything in life. Whatever we have desired to do, and we don't see that the conditions are right, and we make excuses for us not to move. Faith, though, it requires movement. Faith without works is dead. So faith requires movement. So when we're not comfortable, and even when we're not comfortable, we must make it necessary to continue to move forward. I've always, that's one of the things that I would keep pushing through with me. Keep pushing through, no matter what. No matter what. I mean, that's something, when I say that, I've said it because it's something that I would tell myself. I promise you, every single thing that I share is that those are those things that I have to tell myself every single day. Keep pushing through with me. And I talked to myself. My son earlier said something. I said, "What are you? Who are you talking to? What are you saying?" He's like, "Oh, mom, I'm just doing one of your. You just, I'm just talking." Like he was telling himself, like, "Okay, I gotta do this," or whatever he was saying. I didn't even hear him, but I was like, he listens to me, because I tell myself like, you gotta keep going, just reminding myself. And a lot of times, like I don't want to because I get these thoughts in my head that, no, I'll just put it off, but I can't keep doing that. And that's why I wanted to share tonight. So I wanted to share a couple of things or a few things that I use to try to help myself through this, through the times that I, I don't feel that the timing is right, and I let those things come at me and not want to move forward, right? Um, so the first thing is taking imperfect action. It may not be necessarily perfect. The timing may, like, I can't always say, oh, this is a perfect time, right? No, I gotta take action whether it's imperfect or not. And so if you've ever said, oh, well, someday, just like I mentioned, instead of going ahead and starting whatever day you're on and say, oh, I'll just start on Monday. Stop waiting for that someday, you know? Um, and I know I've had this conversation with my bestie before. There's a lot of things that, we'll discuss of doing, but it's like, oh, the time's not right now. I'll just put it off for later. But and that's someday. But then that someday comes and goes, and it's like, man, it's been a year and we haven't done it yet, you know? And I remember we were discussing something, and I remember one time he was talking to me, and this is a long time ago now, and he was discussing with me, and I'm a big note taker. Even if I'm just talking to you on the phone, hey, I said what I said. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Um, he was talking to me on the phone, and he was just kind of rambling off some things that he wanted to do. And I literally was writing the whole list down because it's like a list. I mean, I catch myself doing that, and I wrote down a whole bunch of things that he was talking about just wanting to do, you know? And it's like, hey, you got through these things. I went back and let him know one day, like, hey, these things that you mentioned you wanted to do, you've already taken care of these. You know? Now I don't know if you realized I was writing them down, but it's like so many things if you don't write them down, if you don't, because it's the time is never really perfect. You don't find yourself, there's so many things happening in life, so it's not going to ever be perfect. But if we make it a point to take action even in the imperfect timing, that will get us to the point where we won't hold back and we will just take progress. It's that progress in motion. Thank you for being here, Just Jay. I appreciate it. um, it's that progress in motion. It'll always teach us that perfect timing, perfection, it's just hesitation in anything that we're doing. You know, it's just trying to hesitate and just trying to keep us from doing what we know we want to do. So I've always, just tried to make myself think, don't let the thought of it's not the time right now, or it's not a perfect time right now, and I just have to put it off until the time is right. You know, if I would have kept doing that, I would have never even started trying to lose the weight, you know, and it didn't happen overnight. And that's why, and I know, I mean, I struggled so much because it wasn't happening sometimes, or I didn't feel it was happening. And today I try to tell my son, like, don't worry about what the scale says, or don't worry about what the paper says. Like, just keep trying and keep doing and keep going forward. You'll finally notice. And there's even, and my son is not like actively always trying to lose weight or anything, but he'll come to me and say, Mom, my pants are feeling really big, and that just like makes me feel great. I'll share this with you guys. The beginning of the school year, I had to go buy him a new belt, okay, because his old belts were fitting him too big. So he's like, Mom, I'm going to need a new belt. So we started out the school year with a new belt. When does school start? Towards the end of, or the middle. He started the middle of August, and I got him a new belt. Do you know the other day? So it was a brand new belt, so it had to be, it was his size at the time. Hey, Missy, thank you for being here. I appreciate it, girl. Thank you so much. Oh, Sirius S, First Lady 01, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So if so I bought him a new belt at the beginning of the school year, and the other day he tells me, Mom, and it didn't even dawn on me at the time, but he's like, Mom, that belt that we bought, he's like, it's already fitting me in the last hole. And I was like, oh really? But I thought about it later and I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's the belt I just bought him. You know? And it's just one of those things, like, if we don't, like, for my son, like, he always tries to, like, no, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that, but it makes him feel good to notice those kind of things, to pay attention and to notice those things, because they'll easily go beside him, you know. And so I try to encourage him, and that's why he came and shared with me that, hey, it's fitting me, because he gets discouraged when he goes on the weight or on the scale or whatever. And I try to tell him, like, don't rely on that, don't rely on the scale. And I tell him, like, look at the way clothes fit you or whatever, and that's why he came and told me the belt I just bought him is already on the last hole. We're either going to have to put new holes into the leather or buy another belt. You know what I mean? So just that, those kind of things that, I mean, it's just making sure that you take action even when it doesn't seem perfect timing. And that's the main thing that Miss Wanda confirmed for me, and let me know that I had to start thinking of these things, because I'll be honest, everything that's just happening right now, in a sense, and for me, I have a tendency to just put things off, and not take a leap of faith, and just keep my guards up, in a sense. And and I'm realizing that I have to take a leap of faith, even though the timing doesn't seem it's perfect. Number two, or the other thing that I want to mention, that just kind of helps me in this time, is reframing fear as growth. I mentioned earlier, that's one of the main things that keeps me from just moving forward and doing things, is that I get fear. I have and I know, because there's people out there that'll, and I'm just like, I can hear them now. They'll tell me fear is not of God, Joe, and I agree, it's not. So anytime fear comes my way, or I just feel like I'm afraid to do it because it's just me, and what if I fail, and it's all on my shoulders, you know and right now, like, I'm feeling that feeling that you get when you get kind of uneasy, and it's that feeling that, what if it doesn't work, what if it doesn't work, and I take that leap, and I end up, it's fear, right? It's fear. But I get the fear because I always feel like failing is that's what I fear. Failing in anything that I do. Um, but I have to remind myself, fear is not failure. What I mean is, when I get fearful, I feel like I'm failing. Because if you know me, I've always even reminded other people, fear is not of God. You know, I'll be the first one to tell my mom, don't fear, mom. You're not trusting in God if you're fearing. And so when I get those feelings of failing, or of the fear, the when I get those feelings of being fearful because I don't want to try or I don't want to go forward, then I have to realize, like, it's just I'm not failing because I'm afraid to do it, but it just means that I'm growing. It just means that I am growing and I'm continuing to try something new, because that's where I fear. When I start growing, or it's like it doesn't really, like, when you start growing, it's not going to happen, or you're not going to feel like you're growing if you're comfortable at the time. It's in that comfort zone. You know, in that comfort zone is not when we're actually growing, right? When we're actually growing, we're actually in a place where we're not sure of what we're going through. You know, we have to start regardless of whether we know what we're coming against. So I this last year, and I went through a whole year of a mentor program. I was approached by a mentor, and she said, you know, I wanted to know if you want to go through this program. It's intentional, being an intentional woman. And I was going to go through all of these different series of things every single month. Um, there's a different book, and there's different writings that we had to do, and journaling, and just all these different, but I had to commit to it, right? And so throughout the time, and at the time, you know, I thought, yeah, sure, I can, you know, commit to do that. But as I went on, it was kind of shedding more of what being that intentional woman that I had to go through, and it was like growing inside of me. Like, it was making me get to a point where I wasn't sure what I needed to do, or I wasn't sure of how I needed to tackle the things around me. But the more I was learning more about myself, and more of the things that were making me afraid of going towards everything that I thought of. See, in life, like, anytime I have stepped out on faith in something, I've always felt like there's something coming up against me. I don't know if you've ever felt that. Like, whenever you seek to go through something, when you seek to go through something, it's like something wants to keep you back, and there's something that tries to keep you from going, you know, because you're going to step out on faith, right? But then something tries to push you back, because you're getting to something where, you know, it's something that you're going through. You know, thank you for being here, Chef Roasty Gag. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. um it's like that's the whole thing. Like, you're about to grow, and you're about to go through something that's actually going to, you know, make you learn more about yourself. And the more that you keep walking towards that, the more you get try like that fear comes against you, or that life, you know, life comes against you to try to push you back. And I mean, I've truly seen, like, faith and fear, they both ask you to believe in something that you cannot see. Both fear and faith are both asking you to go through something that you cannot see. So it's kind of a choice. Do you want to do you want to go through fear, or do you want to go through faith? You know? And the choice is ours, right? So whether we have things that are coming against us at that moment, we are still have to make a choice of whether we're going to go forward, and we're either going to walk by faith or we're going to walk by fear. And I mean, I know which one I'd rather go through, because like when I fear, it's like I'm failing because I shouldn't be fearing. I shouldn't be fearing what I'm about to go through. I shouldn't. Like regardless of whether I could have so many reasons, right? That oh, I'm gonna fear because I don't know what's coming up against me, or I'm gonna fear, but I just have to keep trying to go forward because I've witnessed so many times I've come out on top regardless of what was happening, right? And so I can't keep allowing fear to keep me from progressing. I can't keep allowing fear to keep me from progressing. So I'm just gonna have to walk out on faith. I hope that makes sense. Thank you. Your talks are so and emotionally cathartic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, Thank you. I appreciate it. So thank you so much. Um, Writers, thank you so much for being here, Rachel. I appreciate it. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Um, Everything I just want to say, I get so emotional, because it's so much. It's so much for me. Like when I share these things, like I'm talking to myself because all of these things that these are really things that I go through. Um, I'm a single mom, um, and I'm not making that that's not an excuse at all. But there's just so much, that sometimes I feel, hi, Bird's Life. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I hadn't said hello. Thank you so much for being here. Um, there's so much that I mentioned that thing about myself because there's just so many times that I fear, right? I fear that ever since my dad passed away, like I've been really, really missing him lately. Because there's so many things or decisions that I have to make. And I was that baby girl that I would go to my dad. Dad, what do you think about this? And even in my adult life, um, I would go to him and ask him, like, what do you think about this? He was that and always has been. Um, I had always been that rock that I could, reach out and what do you think, Dad? Look at this is the proposition I've had or whatever, and what do you think I should do or what. And no, I'm not crying at all. I'm just I just get very emotional and I try to explain why I go through things. But there's just so many times that these things they make me think that because I don't have someone to run things by, that I can't work on myself and get stronger, and that's what it makes me do. I'm here trying to reflect and share with you the things that I go through and that I share so I can try to make myself stronger and so I can lean on my faith so I can keep going, keep progressing, keep growing, keep thriving, even when I have fear coming against me or I have imperfect timing as thoughts that's why I don't want to move or I don't want to do something because oh the timing is not right or I'm too afraid to do it. That takes me into the third thing that makes me think about trust divine timing. So in my belief, I believe that everything happens for a reason. I wholeheartedly, and I know my bestie would agree. I always have said that. I truly, truly believe everything happens for a reason. I don't always, when I'm going through something, if it's bad or if it's good, right? If it's bad, of course, when you're going through something, you don't want to think that, oh, you're going through it and that it's, but I just, I try to hone in on that, okay, this is happening for some reason. I try to reel myself in. It's happening for some reason. It's happening and I need to learn from it. There's a lesson here somewhere. Even if I can't see that it's something that I can understand, because I'll say it every day. Every day. I don't understand. I mean, I probably say that phrase 10 times a day, at least. I don't understand. There's so much in this world I do not understand, right? But I have to realize that it's not always for us to understand, right? Don't lean on your own understanding. I have to remind myself that not to lean on my own understanding. I have to walk by faith. I have to just keep going forward and just walk by faith, because I'd rather walk by faith than walk by fear, right? I don't want to. Fear is going to keep me from doing anything. Having faith is going to keep me going forward, even though I can't see the way it's going to happen, or I can't see what will happen. But if I continue to allow fear to keep me, then I'm never going to pursue and try to live out the rest of my dreams. As the timing that we have, we don't, it's so precious that if I continue to allow fear to keep me, then I'm never going to accomplish anything, you know? And so I have to trust in divine timing. I have to trust that even though I don't know what is around that corner, even though I don't know what will happen if I take the leap of faith, I have to trust that everything happens for a reason. I have to trust that if I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the way that I'm supposed to be doing it, right? If I am seeking everything correctly, in a sense, right? Or not going against my beliefs, right? And going against what I perceive what God would want me to do, and I'm going forward in doing that, then I'm seeking for guidance. I'm seeking for that divine timing, because there's a lot of times that, oh, it's not happening. It's not happening, so the timing must not be right, right? But God's timing is much different than our own, right? God's timing is so much more different than ours. We think that, oh, it's taking forever, but to him it's really taking in the time that we are necessarily ready for. So and I say that because, like, there's a lot of times that it's like, why isn't it happening for me? Or why, there's a lot of times that I always feel like I allow trauma that's happened in my past to make me feel like I'm not chosen, or I'm not the one, or what have you, right? So those thoughts come from things that happened in my past, but I have to squash those thoughts because it just wasn't God's time. It just wasn't God's time for me. It's not that because it's not nothing that I'm doing wrong, right? But it's just not God's time for me. And so I have to trust in his timing. I have to trust that he is not delaying anything that's not designed for me. If it's not designed for me if it's not in the design of my life, it's not in the design of what my life should look like, then that's why. Because it's not God's timing for me. It's not delayed, it's in his timing for me. Because why? Because I prayed before this, I pray for God's guidance in everything that I do. So if I'm praying and asking him to guide what I do, what I think, what I say, then that's why it's happening the way it is, because it's his divine purpose. And I hope that makes sense. So that's one of the things that I reflect on and make sure that I trust in his timing. Because again, when things happen, then I'm here thinking like it, it it's happening for a reason. And I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense, because there's a lot of times, and I've mentioned, I was talking to one of my friends this week, and it's like the waiting seasons have always been really, really a struggle for me. The waiting seasons have always been like, um, they've always been a time where I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I was doing it, or what was happening, or why it seemed like everything was happening the way they were happening. There was a time in my career where I was literally I was I was I'm a project manager, and I was a project manager over this account, and they were the top money account, in billing. They brought in the most revenue, and I was the manager over that account. Well, one day I had the director and my boss, my manager, come and tell me, "Hey, we're going to move you to another side of the business." They didn't move anyone else, only me. Okay? And this is the way it happened. They came and said, of all these 60 project managers, you are being moved, and it was to another side of the business. And my thought is, why me? I remember the thoughts, the things that I said at the time. I didn't say it to them, but I was like, why am I being, I mean, why is no one else moving, only me? Why is I'm being, and I'm using this as an example because I want to take it out of the context of what normally I would be talking about, but this just came to mind, this memory. I literally, like, I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't know why I was, I felt like, what did I do wrong? Like, I second guess myself, y'all. I'm one of those people. And I'm just sharing, and it's not something that I should do. That's why I do. That's why I'm going through this. But I'm remembering now, like, man, I shouldn't have been so fearful at the time of why it was happening to me. And I didn't. I was just like so uneasy, so uneasy. I'm literally being stripped from this position. The account I was over, the client, they didn't like it, but they didn't have any say. I'm being literally stripped from this account and being moved to another side of the business I had never worked in. Okay. I get moved over though, and I don't know why. I don't know. Of course, they didn't tell me at the time who made the decision or anything. But I'm here to tell you that I'm just gonna fast forward. Literally, that happened. Within 2 years later, I told you I was one of 60 that was moved. 2 years later, there had been layoffs, there had been change of the business, buyouts, a lot of different things happened. And after 2 years, I was the only one still there. 59 had been either moved, let go, taken a package, moved to another position, whatever they had to do. But I was the only one still there with the position that I was in, the new position I was moved to. I was literally the only one still there. But 2 years prior to that, I didn't see what was coming down the pipe. I didn't see that the repositioning of everything that I was doing was going to put me in a position where later I saw people that had been moved or whatever, and I didn't have to say anything. I was standing there, and one of the people that I used to work with that was no longer there is now in a different position. They are still in the company, but they were standing there and they were telling someone else, she's the only one still working in what we used to work in. She's over now $1 billion client. You know what I'm saying? So we don't always see what is coming up in down the line. We don't always know what is going to happen around the corner. We don't know why things are being repositioned in everything that they are at the time. I promise you, I did not understand it. I thought, what is going on? Why am I getting, you know? But I'm here to tell you, it was 2 years down the line before I understood it. Or I literally, and it wasn't that I understood it, it was that I found myself, wait a minute, I'm still the only one here now with a bigger client. And the reason I'm still there is because that client was so big. Okay. And I realized, in prayer, I realized you repositioned me perfectly to be where I needed to be. It was His perfect timing, but at the time, I didn't understand it. I had fear, I had questions, questions I did not go and ask them. So I had no idea, and they didn't share with me why they moved me. But it was years down the line that I realized, because I was moved the way I was moved and I was repositioned the way I was repositioned, it was all divine timing. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it, but those are the kind of examples that I could tell you, and I could give you I could give you testimonial about that. We don't, and you don't know, it's not going to happen overnight, right? You're not going to see the reasons overnight. You're not going to see why things are being shifted. You feel like your life is being shifted, and you feel like your life is just changing all of a sudden, but what I've always had to remind myself, and this memory came to me, and I'm reminding myself, change is is often necessary. There's so many times I've said, I used to be a person that I didn't like change. I'm so comfortable in my ways, and I don't want to change what's going on. But it's when the change happens, that's when growth happens. You know, it's that change that will cause the growth to happen. And so we have to be comfortable, or not comfortable, but we have to be willing to take that leap of faith. We have to be willing to take that change in whatever we're doing, because that's when we will see the growth. That trusting in God's timing. It's not necessarily a delay in what we're doing. It's just He knows what's ahead. He knows what's in we don't know. We don't know why things are happening the way they're happening. We don't know, but we have to trust that our faith is going to get us to that place where He wants us to be. And I hope that whole makes sense. Because while we're waiting and while we're doing and we're continuing to have faith, that is God preparing us for where He wants us to be. That was just a word for me. And I'm telling you, like, a lot of the things that I'm saying and I'm speaking, it's like, I don't know how to explain to you, but it's like these are confirmations for me, and I'm not crying. I'm just, these are confirmations for me that, Joe, you need to go ahead and quit allowing your fear to keep you from taking that leap of faith. All things are working for our good. Yes, Miss Alice, they really are. IMO, in my opinion, life is about trial and error. Sometimes you win, sometimes you flop. And it's true. But even if in our flop, it doesn't mean that we fail, right? It doesn't mean that we fail. It just means that we're going to pick up our big girl panties and keep trying, right? Because I have a feeling, I have a feeling that that's something that I said what I said would say to me. Girl, pick up those big girl panties and get back out there and try it again. You know, if she was, I don't know, can you confirm for me? That's something you would tell me, or something like so in your own way, of course, right? Girl, get back out there and try it again, no matter what. Sometimes, like that trial and error, you're right. Sometimes we win, sometimes we're going to flop, but we shouldn't let that flop keep us from going forward. In my opinion, even if we, even just like for instance, even I didn't make it through the forever after, so I shouldn't let that keep me from not trying again, or keeping those doors closed, in a sense. Yes, ma'am. See, she said yes, ma'am. That's what she would say, or something like it. Even if we seemingly flop, if we learned the lesson, it still benefited us. And exactly, and that's the whole point, as Miss Alice, the whole point that I try to tell myself. You know, of course, not right away, because I'll be the first one to tell you I go through so much before I get through these points. I went through so much because all of this that I'm sharing, it's for me first, and I know I tell you guys this, and it's really true. Like as I'm speaking, it's like that was a word for me, you know. But every single time I try to think, okay, that happened, but what am I supposed to learn from it? Because that's how I feel. I really truly believe that no matter what is going on, no matter what happens, whether I deem it as something bad, like what do I need to learn? Where's my message? What message am I supposed to get out of this? I don't want to. This is something that I even mentioned to someone this week. I feel like I'm in a rat wheel. That like that wheel where you have that lab rat, and they just keep going through that wheel, and they keep going through the same thing over and over. Well, I feel that way because I need to see what I'm supposed to be learning from this. You know, I need to see what everything that I'm going through. There's a reason that I'm going through it, but I'm. Let me mention something. I'm going through it. I'm taking responsibility. I'm taking accountability. I go through it because I'm choosing to go through it because that's what I chose to do. Okay, whether it's something that I just keep doing incorrectly or doing, whatever. I just keep doing it over and over. And it's like I'm not advancing and I'm not getting anywhere from it. And that's how I felt. I felt like I was a mouse in that rat wheel. And I just keep going through it over and over. It's like you got to realize you're going through the same thing over and over because you're not learning what you're supposed to be learning from it. And that's how I felt this week. Like just so much, like realize what you need to learn from this, and realize that it's all in God's timing. Everything, you can't keep being fearful in everything that you see ahead of you, or you see, you're going through things and you're growing through things. As you go through them, you're growing because you need to learn why you're going through them. I hope that makes sense. um So, with all that, those are the things that I wanted to reflect on. Taking imperfect action, whether it seems like it's not the perfect timing, but you need to take action, whether it's imperfect or not. Reframing my fear as growth. I need to think that when I'm in fear of doing something, it's that I'm actually growing, and I need to go ahead and understand why I'm going through it, and I need to grow through it, not just be fear and not fearful and not do it, and then trusting in that divine timing, because I truly, truly, truly believe that everything happens for a reason. Whether whether people may think that they are doing something, and they're just doing it, but if it has me involved, I believe it happened for a reason. Either whether it's me and someone else, right? And if they mentioned something and we just went through something, well, it's okay that it happened, because it happened for a reason. There's something that needs to come out of it, and that's why it happened. We need to learn from something that happened. We need to learn that whether we need to approach those things differently the next time, or whatever it must be, right? But I always have to trust in divine timing, because his way is his will is best, in my opinion. So I want to, with that, I want to just give you some thoughts of encouragement. And these are thoughts that I wrote for me, so for encouragement for me. Don't let waiting rob you of your winning season. There's so many things that um, yeah, just there's so many things that we want to do, or dreams that we want to accomplish. And sometimes, a lot of people, like, they will see that there's people in their lives, and they just don't acknowledge that those people are in their life for a reason. And it's okay. But don't let waiting rob you of your winning season, because your winning season, the best is yet to come. And I say that, like, I really truly believe it. I truly, it's biblical. I truly believe it. The best is yet to come. You haven't even seen the best that is before you. And that excites me, because I've had a lot of great ones, right? But the best is still yet to come. Um, Perfection isn't required, obedience is. And that is, we were saying this recently. It was being said, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And we shouldn't be looking for that. We shouldn't be looking for perfection. Perfection, it's not required, because that's not in the cards for us. We're not going to be perfect. So every time you look to someone and see the failure in that person, well, they weren't supposed to be perfect. They're going to have, they're going to fail. We're all going to fail at some time. So perfection, it's not required, but we are supposed to be obedient. We're supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing for God to guide us, for his will. And that's something that I have to remind myself of. Um, this is one where when you move, God multiplies. If we stay stuck in the same place, then there's nowhere that God can do more for us. See, a lot of times, I've told one of my sons used to say all the time, "Oh, God will take care of it." And it's like, son, God can't do anything for you if you don't do something for yourself. God is not going to just say, "Oh, I'm going to do this for you, but you're not doing anything." Faith, we have to step out in faith for him to do something for us. So every time you move, when you move and you do something, you're giving God the ability to do something for you. He multiplies what you move. what you do. But if you don't do anything, you're not trusting in him to do for you. And I hope that makes sense. But when you move, God multiplies. And here's the last one that I wanted to leave with you all. There is power in progress, even when it's small. Even if the progress may be really small and minute, for example, in weight loss, even if the weight loss is small, it's progress. And the more consistent we continue to be, it'll continue to be. It doesn't have to, just that honestly, if you were to lose 10 pounds in a week, that wouldn't even be, really healthy for you. But if you were to lose a little bit and the little bit that adds up is more sustainable, it's something that'll stay, it's something that'll continue to happen. And the more you do it, it'll be it'll be healthier for you in a sense because in our bodies, you're allowing your body to catch up. There's, I remember, hearing about this as I've had people in my family throughout throughout my life. Like you would see, like I literally had someone who she stopped smoking. This was my aunt. She stopped smoking. No, I'm sorry. She stopped doing drugs. She was addicted to drugs, and she picked up smoking because one of the things, if you haven't lived this or haven't realized this in life, a lot of the addictions that people, when you're getting over one addiction, you have a tendency, and this is just, psychology, right? When you when you let go of one addiction, a lot of the times people have a tendency to pick up another addiction to mask the last one or to get over the last one. For instance, for me, if it wasn't, and this was true, when I stopped eating so much, overeating, one of the first things that I picked up was smoking, and this is something that I did. I used to smoke, and I smoked for a good 10 years of my life, and I quit smoking cold turkey one day. And that's probably something that you guys didn't even know, but it was something that I picked up after or during the time, but it was, I picked it up losing stop because for me eating was an addiction. I used it for comfort, and then I picked up smoking, throughout the time, and but it was like, oh, I wanted to smoke because I wanted to curb that eating desire. That's what I used. But a lot of the times it's like, um I felt like getting rid of one thing and doing another thing. It was like, it was, the more I let it go, even if it was small, you know, even if it was happening in a small sense, it was still a progress that I was doing, you know, and I had to realize that. So there is power in progress, even when it's small. I wanted to see, I know you highlighted it. When I move, he moves, just like that. Yes. Yes, obedience is the key. It truly is. Yes, when I move, he moves. It's like that. Just yes, and that's true. Like it's true. Um, when you move, God multiplies. You know, but there is power in progress, even when it's small. And I just, because that brings me to that weight loss too. Even if it's small, even if you just see that it's happening in a small dose, there is power in progress, because that is still progress, no matter if it's just a small dose at a time. Um, but I hope I made sense. I don't know why I shared some of the things that I shared. It just, I'm telling you, it just amazes me so much. I didn't know if my bestie wanted to come up, or maybe not. Maybe not. I just wanted to pose the question, um, and see if he did or not. You don't have to. I'm just asking. Let me know if you're there. I didn't know. Bestie. Yeah. Um, why are you smiling like that, Dork? um, I just wanted your take. I wanted your take on my talks tonight. I'm just so glad you're here with me tonight. I thank you. You're with your SBK gear. Are you gonna say anything?
Yeah, I'm waiting on you to get done talking. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. If I didn't speak to you earlier, I've been put on Thriving Glow with Joe's payroll. I am executive producing tonight, and I was just trying to make sure that the show uh, runs smooth and runs clear and everything. So, uh, um, oh yeah, uh, go and get your. Oh, hold on. Go and get your SBK merchandise, ladies and gentlemen. She's prompting me to do this. So go and get. I got it's hoodie season. You know what I mean? It's big boy season. I love this uh, type of
Weather.
type of year. So go and get your hey, Jimbo, bro. She told me to do it. I wasn't doing it. She told me to do it. So y'all go and check out the SBK Media uh, merchandise. All right, some of you guys are getting merchandise. Uh, uh, I'm gifting you that. So stay tuned to that. So Joe has been wearing stuff every week, and so you guys go and check it out. It's hitting season. It's big boy season. Big boy season. We stay bundled up. I got um, I have hoodies, I have beanies, I have workout gear, I have hats, I have um, I have sports sports bras for you ladies. You know what I'm saying? I got it all. So go. So she prompted me to do this, y'all. I'm just saying. So I didn't. I wasn't planning on. Y'all saw. Y'all rewind it back. She was like pointing at the head. So she wanted me to do this. So thank you, Joe, for allowing me to do this quick commercial with the SBK Media Network merchandise. So there you go. Hold on. Now it's not. Oh, there we go. So with that being said, you were talking today about don't wait, about not waiting and procrastinating and stuff like that. And I wanted to thank you for coming up with this subject because this is, as you were saying throughout the chat, these are things that you and I have talked about, you know, not even knowing that you were going to come up with this subject. And um, uh, whenever when you speak about things that you want to do, and she is correct, ladies and gentlemen, uh, I have I have told her about things that I want to do, whether it's with my channel or with my career, with my house, with my family, and I just say some. It's almost like by the way type things, right? Then all of a sudden, she writes it down. What if this is what you said about? Oh yeah, I can go ahead and do that. You know what I mean? So I want to thank you for coming up with this subject because a lot of us put off a lot of things and not knowing that whenever you put off things, it's never going to get done if you keep putting it off. And I've always I've always said that my mom. There's two statements my mom always said uh, growing up to us, growing up as kids. The first statement my mom used to say was, uh, and my mom was a very hard worker, you know what I mean. And I noticed, Joe, you were talking about, you know, um, raising, being a single parent and raising uh, a son and you working a full-time job and so forth, so on. And my mom, was doing, was doing that. And I used to tell her, I used to ask questions as a kid, why do you work all the time? You know what I mean? And, and she used to say, well, son, there's an old statement that says, man's work is from dusk to dawn, but a mother's work is never done. That's what my mom used to say that all the time. And so I didn't understand that until I got, you know, to be a man and have responsibilities of my own. And of course, being a single father. And in other words, you're juggling a lot of things. You know what I mean? You're juggling a career, you're juggling taking care of your kids, you're juggling getting your house ready, getting your house clean. If you got kids, making sure that they go get to their doctor's appointments and all that. So it's very important that you prioritize things and you make sure that things are what they need to be, and you don't just put those things off. You plan those things and you do it. And second of all, my mom used to say, don't put off today, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, and so procrastination. So all of that stuff that I'm telling y'all, Joe spoke of that today, because if you're never going to succeed in anything that you have, whether it's a dream or whether it's an idea. You're never going to succeed in that unless you put one foot forward. And if you don't make the necessary steps into making sure that that idea or that dream is accomplished, then it's not going to get accomplished. So that's very important that you put your put your feet forward and go ahead and start on that now, because even if you fail, that's still a success. What do I mean by that is, you know what works for you and you know what doesn't work for you. So that's not really failure. That's just learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So you took the necessary step and that didn't work. Now move on to the next, idea, the next dream or whatever, wherever you want to call it, So I really, this really hit home, and I understand where you're coming from on that. And I'm glad that you brought that out, because it really spoke to me, because, how many times do we have dreams and aspirations? Joe, today we've been putting together some things today with an outside source, trying to get ready for things. And if it wasn't for us planning ahead of time, about what we were going to do, leading to that point, then it would never be done. So this was needed.
Yes, sir.
I said what
Alice said, thanks, Joe, for inspiring the title of my book.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. In my opinion, anything that you work hard on, it will flourish, especially if you ask God for guidance. I agree. Hey, Lisa, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it, dear. Thank you so much.
So also, go ahead.
No, go.
No, I'm just saying it's also important that you have those that are working towards helping you with your goals, and they're encouraging you, and they are not allowing you to put off things and not allowing you to wait. You know what I mean? Like you were saying about waiting. How often do we wait? How often do we wait, and those things, the things that whatever we're waiting on is going to it's not progress. You know what I'm saying? What are we waiting on? Go ahead and get it done. You know what I mean? So but go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we wait because the timing's not perfect, or it's not working out right now, or whatever. I mean, yeah, don't wait for perfect. Progress starts today. That's
Right.
what the put on the title. But before I close, I wanted to leave, I wanted to leave this with you. We spend so much time waiting for things to make sense before we move. But what if the clarity you're searching for only comes after the step you've taken too afraid to take? After you take that step and you've been too afraid to take, what if you don't know or you don't understand it until after you've made that move? you know so we need to go ahead and just keep going forward. Every single thing that's meant for you is waiting on your faith to activate it, because faith without works is, faith, what is it, how does it go? I
Faith
know you
without
know
it.
it. Yes, that one. It's not your perfection, it's not your plan, it's your faith. That's what's going to get you activated and getting it done. When you trust divine timing, you stop asking, when will it be my turn? And start realizing it's already your turn. You just have to get moving. So I want you to think about this week that one thing you've been holding off on because it didn't feel perfect yet. Ask yourself, what if I just start anyway? What if the lesson, the blessing, and the growth are all waiting on that one act of obedience? Remember, faith doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It moves in imperfect ones, and when you move, God multiplies. So thank you all. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate it, because a lot of the things that I just spoke tonight, a lot of the memories that I resurfaced or that I thought of, they really, really spoke to me on a personal level. I've had a lot of things that have come my way, and I'm talking about me on a personal for me. And a lot of ways that I don't know what to do or what decisions to make, or to make a decision, right? Because I want to put it off and I want to do, or not take that leap of faith. And a lot of reasons why I needed this. I needed this for me. Um, so I really thank you all for being here. I don't know why I'm getting emotional again. I'm not crying though. I'm a big girl. I said what I said. I'm a big girl now. But um, step into what God has for you. Right on. Take care, everyone. Rest well. Yes, thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you for spending the time with me tonight. And thank you, Bestie, for helping me out tonight. I really, truly appreciate you all. Um, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. I'd really love for you guys to comment and just let me know what you guys think. Honestly, that would really help me out. Um, but with that, anything else?
Nope. Great live.
Thank you. I'm so encouraged by all of you, and I thank you, Miss Wanda, for sharing that this week. What you stepped out and you went ahead and did. I really truly appreciate it. It really, really guided me this week, and I just want to thank you all for all of your encouragement also, and for being here. But with that said, thank you so much. Keep pushing through with me, because we are stronger together. Trust and believe. Thank you so much.